Welcome to Raspberry Biology, an episode in Bramble Biology. And here we have raspberries. Lots and lots of raspberries. Now I am here with the red raspberry, in this case, Rubus polana. How are you today, red raspberry? Very good. Now, red raspberries, and all raspberries and blackberries for that matter, are in a very large family called Rosaceae. This family includes many other fruits and berries, such as apples, almonds, and some ornamentals, such as roses. It is a very useful and very interesting family. Now, raspberries are perennial plants that grow biannually. Now, you may be wondering what that means exactly. It means that the plant itself is a perennial and will grow for many, many years. But the actual plants that you see typically only last for 2 years. So underground, there is a root stock, and from this rootstock they produce canes. Now 1 year the canes will grow and produce no fruit, they just grow and grow, and these are called primicanes. Now the next year, these canes will then produce fruit, and now they're called floricanes. This is a biannual cycle of canes, and after they fruit, they no longer have a use and thus die. Here we are at the base of the plant. This is where all the canes come from. Now you can see that there is not a central stem, but they are all coming straight out of the ground. This is because the central stem of the plant is the root underground, where all these different floricanes and primicanes come from each year. Now let's take a look at the two kinds of canes. Here we have a primicane. Now if we look at this cane, there is no fruits or flowers. It is purely vegetative. So this cane grew from the beginning of spring this year, and it will continue to grow throughout this year and will then go dormant over the winter. And next year, it will start to produce fruit. If you look closely at the primicanes, in the axil of the cane and the leaf, you can see a little bud. Now this bud will next year turn into fruit. What will happen is it will overwinter, and when spring comes and warmth comes, it will break open, and out of it will grow a little stem, and on that stem will be many flowers, and those flowers will produce delicious berries. Now let's take a look and see if we can find a floricane. Here we have a floricane. Now a floricane is one that has grown the previous year and is producing flowers and fruit this year. Now here we see the bud opening and producing a flower. We can see the axil and the leaf, and here we have the flower growing right out of it. Not all raspberries follow this biannual nature of having growth 1 year and flowering fruiting the next year. Some varieties have been produced where it happens all in the same year. Now you may be wondering, what are the benefits? What are the drawbacks of these different varieties? One of the drawbacks of this biannual variety is that pruning can be quite difficult. Now you can see that you get quite the tangled mass of canes in here, and picking out the difference between the floricanes and the primicanes can be quite difficult. Now you need to, in winter, cut out all the finished floricanes because you don't need them anymore. What you do need is to keep all the primicanes, otherwise next year you will get no fruit. So in winter you'd come in and you would select all the ones you do not want and you cut them out, which can be quite difficult, as you can see how bushy these raspberries can be. Now, a benefit of the raspberries, which produce canes and fruit on those canes in the same year, is that at the end of the year, you can mow them all down, which means you can go from a somewhat tangled mess of canes like this to nice, clean, disease-free rows like this. You don't have to worry about what you're pruning and keeping. You can just mow the entire thing down and get rid of everything, ready for new growth in the spring. I hope you have found this talk on raspberry biology to be interesting, and that you have learned something about these fascinating plants.